Week 6 of 521. Welcome. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to talk a little bit about the discussion board in some detail. First, let's just cover the very bottom of this page, what is coming up for assignments. So your ePortfolio, as always, continue to work on that. Strongly encourage you to look at the digital divide and communication tools for those sections this week. Please do not wait until the end of week 8 to begin your ePortfolio. It will not go well. You also have encourage you to get started on your 3-day lesson plan that's due week 7. So one more full week. Look at that. And then your assignment due at the end of this week, at the end of week 6, is your presentation. It's for Assistive Technologies in Service. Hey Charlie, I'm recording a video with my students.
So Daddy, have you seen some kid socks?
I've not seen kid socks. I can come help you when I'm done with the video, okay? All right. As a reminder, as you work from home, don't redo videos. You're gonna get it interrupted, and that's okay. Like, unless your computer freezes, which mine actually did. I had such a great video just now. Pardon me. Just keep rolling. You're working from home. There's more important things than having like a perfect video. So your presentation, I recommend use Google Slides. Recommend that you just follow along with that Google Doc that has the assignment. One slide to address each of those points. Strong visuals, little to no text. The two ways you're going to find strong visuals are the Noun project. Noun like person, place, or thing, Noun. The Noun project, use the free version of that. No need to pay for it. Those are going to give you icons and graphics that are clean and that do a pretty good job of communicating. Second place is just looking for Creative Commons images that you're allowed to use if you give credit. Search.creativecommons.org would be the way to get going on an image search. Please do not just right-click and copy any image from Google image searches, particularly if it's watermarked. That's called stealing. Don't do that. And also please model that for your students and name it with your students. Walk them through how to find licensed images when they are doing presentations or visual work. Also, please do not give me Microsoft clip art from 25 years ago. Seeing like bizarre 3D people, like 4 people at a table, or seeing that puzzle piece that has the 4 colors connecting, people shaking hands from like MS Paint in the 1900s, not useful, not helpful, not a strong visual. The Noun project, search.creativecommons.org, great ways. So when you have little to no text, it's hard to make sure you get full credit for an assignment. You're like, where do I put the text? The text goes in speaker notes. So little to no text on the slide, speaker notes, paragraph per slide, just explaining kind of what you would say. It doesn't have to be like a full script, but definitely needs to be more than just like 2 bullet points with like 3 words each, right? Because I'm going to be looking at the speaker notes and going, oh, got it. That is how you're doing it. Also make sure you're not submitting a link, submit a file. It can be PowerPoint so that we get speaker notes. Save as a PDF as long as we can see the speaker notes. PDF is going to preserve the slide in the proper format. Converting from Google Slides to PowerPoint and then PowerPoint up to Blackboard, sometimes stuff doesn't convert properly or like reorganizes it. So it's a mess. PDF is a good way to go. That is that assignment due at the end of this week, of week 7. Week number 6 is the discussion board, and I'm going to jump in and talk a little bit about that because the topic has substantially changed in the last year and a half, really, since last March. So it's at 13 months, mostly due to the global pandemic, and then a lot of the discussions educators have been having around the world, and certainly in this country, around what systemic racism looks like. So that is not something that we've talked much at all about in this class. It's not the goal or the focus of this course at all. And this topic about the digital divide, when it used to be, we need hardware and software and teachers trained and tech coaches. It used to be very simple and was about kind of the stuff. And since then, really since the pandemic, it's really shown a light on the biggest gap in that entire system of students with remote learning. And in a lot of places, some just kind of down the road from me, like Salinas is within an hour, kind of on the way to Monterey. And I know a number of people, like in the county office, administrators, kindergarten teacher, and the biggest issue they've been having is getting reliable internet connectivity to homes. And that's a system, that's infrastructure. I'm cautiously optimistic about President Biden's commitment to upgrading our infrastructure with fiber, with just high-speed Wi-Fi to every home. Depending on where you are, if I go 45 minutes south, I'm in Salinas, and there are people who just can't get internet connectivity at home. If I go 45 minutes in the opposite way, I'm in Mountain View, and that's Google's headquarters, right? Their Wi-Fi is fast. Not as fast as you would think. They have actually most of the problems our school has, where just sometimes it kind of cuts out. It's not a magical place for Wi-Fi, despite what you might think. But the fact that I can go like an hour one way northwest and an hour southwest and get two completely different experiences, I think speaks a lot to the infrastructure. And, again, if you just want to talk, if kind of most of the learning you've been doing as an educator is around just access to hardware, software, training, staffing, you absolutely can just kind of go in that direction and just kind of stop there. And also that so much of what I've learned in the last year about the digital divide has evolved from just hardware, software, training, staff, to actually looking at what systems we have in place. And so much of those systems are inherently racist. So I've learned a lot through a number of books. We've been working as an admin team on this. Dr. Kendi's book, How to Be Anti-Racist, has really informed a lot of how I'm seeing this whole idea. And so as we look at systems like infrastructure, like getting wires into homes, I have looked at maps and looked at data and read articles where it's really clear that a lot of the families that don't have high-speed internet, that don't have reliable connectivity, are families of color. And so the system we have, it's not enough just to say, oh, like, okay, that's anecdotal evidence. No. Like, what I am learning now, and for me this is still very much a learning thing, is that these systems, like infrastructure, like access to internet connectivity, it's either anti-racist, and if it's not that, then it is racist, right? There's not this kind of neutral ground that for the longest time I, as a white educator, was just like, oh, like, I'm not racist. And I'm learning through a lot of readings, a lot of conversations, that for me, there isn't that middle ground. It's not, I'm not racist. It's either anti-racist or racist. And it's not me as a person. It's every action I make. It's every policy our school does. It's all the things. So as we look at the idea of a digital divide, it honestly just isn't as simple as hardware, software, staffing, training. So if you want to really dig into what systemic racism looks like and how that impacts families, how they can't get connectivity, in a lot of ways that's really become the new digital divide. I welcome you to share that. I'd also be remiss if I didn't also encourage you to share how you've been feeling. There's been, in the last couple weeks, like, more than one Black person has been killed by a police officer. And so depending on where you sit with that, again, I feel it would be appropriate if you want to connect some of those, because it's like, oh my gosh, it'd be so much easier to record this video if I was just like, oh, let's talk about hardware and software and we're done. Digital divide, done. And just, it's not that simple. If you're hearing me talk about all this and you're just like, whoa, like, dude, slow down, like, not the course I signed up for, that's fair. And I want to make sure and honor that. And also, if the last 2 weeks have been really traumatic for you, I also want to be able to honor that and have you, if you want to be able to make those connections, because the systems we have are not equitable. and the access to reliable internet connectivity is not equitable. And so many of those policies are inherently racist because they are not anti-racist, right? We have lots of data that shows that. And so, kind of wherever you land on this discussion board is okay. You might be like, oh, thank goodness we can actually kind of get real here. Or you might be like, seriously, like we're going to do this in an ed tech course. And I will say, like, if you were kind of feeling that way, most of my conversations in the last year with ed tech friends, and at this point, most of my friends, almost all of my friends are ed tech friends, are friends that present regularly around the world at conferences, although virtually around the world at this point, right? Yeah, so that's like, I essentially, like, every time I hang out with adults, and it's not my wife, but even that, she has an ed tech master's, for crying out loud. Like, it's never just technology and education. It's always looking at diversity, equity, inclusion. So we're kind of at the point where we can't just talk about the tool, and particularly, like, this discussion board post was written pre-pandemic, and so, like, it's absolutely okay just to address kind of the pre-pandemic version of it, and then at some point we need to be having the more uncomfortable conversations. So if you're willing to do that, awesome. If you're excited about that, awesome. If you're just like, time out, as my kindergarten would say, TO, that's also okay at this point. But yeah, just wanted to be able to name that, because I know that it's affecting all of you very, very differently, and all of that is okay. So it's also an invitation to kind of approach it however you would like. So all of that just for one discussion board post, right? But there's a lot to that, and a lot that we can unpack with that. If you're not quite sure about kind of how I frame that for you, you have some more questions, you're not quite sure how to respond to someone or how to do your initial post, or you want to run something by me, you're welcome to reach out to me. I'm definitely doing my own learning, so if there's something that you want to correct me on, that you want to reach out and learn more about, that just made you uncomfortable and you have no idea why I'm talking about this at this point, all of those things, like, please reach out. Happy to email back and forth. We can hop on a call and chat more about it, kind of in any way. If you're just like, why are you talking about this? Or you talked about it wrong, here's how you should have framed it. All of those, like, happy to chat about it in the discussion board, email, on a call, whatever you need. Here to support you and trying to do my best to make sure that all are feeling included in, like, an inclusive way, like actually included, not just when I was teaching kindergarten, all are welcome, all are included, like genuinely trying to do that. So anyway, that is all for week 6. Yeah, reach out if you need to. If not, look forward to seeing your work in the discussion board and in your presentations. Happy week 6, everybody.